Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. From here on we'll be catching a train to Valga, a border town between Estonia and Latvia. From Valga we'll catch another train to Riga in Latvia. Shortly after I recorded this connection will be way smoother, and within approximately half a year after I shot this video, there will also be direct trains from Estonia to Riga. And probably from 2030 this will be way faster in general, due to a new railway line. Join us on board of this train from Tallinn in Estonia, the capital of Estonia, to Riga, the capital of Latvia. If the Rail Baltica project has been finished, this is way faster and there will be a lot of great improvements on this line in general. I'll tell you more about that in the video. Now we are standing at the rails in the Valga where we have to swap trains. I'll also tell you more about that in the video. For now, just let's get this video on the track and let's roll the intro. We arrived in Tallinn by ferry from Helsinki, the capital of Finland. These two capitals are really close to each other. It's only about 2 hours by ferry. You find obviously different companies and quite a lot of vessels on this route. There will be a trip report on this as well on this channel, so stay tuned. Language-wise, Finnish and Estonian are very similar. I didn't know this at first, to be honest. Apart from the ferries to Finland, you also find lots of ferries to other destinations. For example, to Stockholm in Sweden, although those ferries do operate obviously less frequent and do also have a longer journey time. Tallinn has a lovely old town, and around the old town you find lots of newer neighborhoods. However, if you visit here, don't only go to the old town, what is by far the most visited area of Tallinn, but also try to go to other neighborhoods. For example, right at the back of the railway station you will find the neighborhood Telefiski, if I pronounce it right. This is a former industrial area. And this is a really upcoming neighborhood with lots of nice restaurants, shops, you name it, creative businesses. I mean, Estonia is a kind of the tech startup country in Europe. Next to the railway station you will find Balti Jaam Turk, or basically Baltic railway station market. This is a market where you won't only find the classical market, but also quite a lot of shops like supermarkets and lots of nice small restaurants. Even within this market, at some spots, you find information about public transportation. We were staying at a hotel right next to the railway station, and this was actually the view from our window. We even paid a little bit less to have this view, because if I have a window at the other side of the hotel, we have the old town view. What is obviously nicer, but not if you make these kinds of videos. In Estonia you still find quite some diesel-powered trains, although they're really working hard on the electrification of the railroad network. Therefore, I don't know if I would like to have a room with a train view in the summertime, if I want to open the window for example. Something you find a lot on the eastern side of the former Iron Curtain within Europe is there's a steam engine being exhibited right in front of the railway station. And right next to that, this was our hotel where we stayed. Actually a perfect location. Perfect within reach of public transportation, and also the old town and the other neighborhoods at the back of the railway station. The railway station where we stayed is Balti Jaam, or Baltic railway station if I literally translate this. This is the terminal railway station in Tallinn, Estonia. At the front of the railway station there are lots of bus stops to get around in the direct neighborhood. For long distance buses there's a special coach station that's not here. That's about 25 minutes away from here by public transportation. I'd love to see this all a bit more integrated, especially because at some spots the buses might be a better solution than the train, for example. Nowadays you won't find trains to Russia, for example, from here anymore, due to obvious reasons. However, you will still find buses to Russia. Estonia has quite a large Russian population that basically ended up here when the Soviet Union collapsed. So when it comes to family visits and family bonds, this is borderless. And it's a pity to see that the world is moving into a certain direction. Mainly because someone cannot handle power. Anyway, this here is what should be maybe the entrance of the railway station if I go to the main concourse, but this was closed. Maybe it's open in the summertime, I don't know. If you know this, let me know in the comments. However, no need to worry, because there are lots of places how you can enter the station. However, before I do that, at the side you find the tram stop to get around in the city as well. Even though if you stay in the most touristic areas of Tallinn, you won't really need to use the public transportation. But if you're gonna use it, it's easy to find the timetables and, well, live information on Google Maps, for example, but they also have their own apps. If you're going to use public transportation here, at the front of the buses and the trams, you'll find a point where you can touch in with a contactless payment card. Probably if you are Estonian, they have different systems, but well, I'm not digging in that. For now, let's head into the railway station, and let's do this via one of the convenience stores. Tallinn Balti Jaam is a terminal railway station, and therefore the layout speaks basically for itself. Around the tracks and mainly at the end of the tracks, you find most shops and railway related services. At the beginning of the tracks, there are clear screens that will host route information about the first upcoming departures. Between the railway station and the direction of the old town, you find this underground passage. Although on street level, there's also a perfect connection. Some of the tracks are a little bit more hidden at the back of the railway station. So keep this in mind if you are here. Personally, I wouldn't say that this is a beautiful railway station at all. However, you do find all the facilities you might need. It's not a very luxury railway station, but you do find quite a lot of shops around, some places where you can wait inside. A ticket counter, what is more an information desk than really a ticket counter, where you find these train seats here on the right, by the way. I really like that. Well, I think you get it. This railway station has basically all the facilities you might need. And even though there is a ticket counter, if you want to buy your train tickets, this is very good doable online. On the website of Elron, this basically speaks for itself, but can only be done relatively short prior departure. I'll explain a little bit more about this later on in the video. Like I mentioned, before you go to the platform, it has been clearly marked what the first upcoming departures are from that specific platform, and directions have been marked crystal clear within this railway station, as my girlfriend is showing you right here. Well, I think you get it. For now it's about time to go to the train and give you some more background information about this route and some things that might be improving on the short term for this as well. However, before we do all of this, I hope you like this video so far. If you do so, or if it's a helpful video to you, give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is cross-bordering and or long-distance traveling, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. Questions, comments, feedback, let me know in the comment section. But for now, let's continue with this video. I shot this video very early January 2025. Before I continue with this, let's have a look on the timetable, and this is basically the timetable for the train if you're traveling from Tallinn to Vilnius or the other way around. However, our destination for today is Riga. I do have another video already on the channel where I feature the railway connection Riga-Vilnius. You can check it out in the description of this video. Anyway, as you can see, we have to change trains at Valga. This is a border town between Latvia and Estonia. It's literally in two countries. I'll show you more of that a little bit later on in the video. At the moment we made this journey, we had a train from Tallinn departing at 7:08 in the morning. And we arrived in Riga at 17:47. Shortly after I recorded this timetable was implemented. Basically, you can leave Tallinn now around 3.5 hours later, and you'll be around 10 minutes earlier in Riga. What is a huge improvement by just adjusting the timetables a little bit to each other. Also, I know that Elron, the state-owned railway company of Estonia, is working on letting their trains operate within Latvia. So there will be direct trains between Estonia and Latvia as well. I have heard that those trains will not start in Tallinn, but in Tartu instead. However, the entire process to allow these trains within Latvia doesn't go as smooth as initially planned. So yeah, hopefully this will be operational in the second half of 2025. From 2030, the new railway line Rail Baltica should also be launched. Well, honestly, I don't know if 2030 is a realistic date, but maybe some parts of this high-speed line will be reopened as well. And the Rail Baltica project will cut down the travel time a lot between these cities. Not just because it's a high-speed railway line, but also because this railway line will be in a much more straight line. So you also cut down a lot in terms of distance. However, even with the new high-speed line and what's more direct as well, I really hope that this specific route that will be taken today will still be as much appreciated as it is today, because it's a great connection as well, and especially for some smaller towns along the way. Elron, what is the state-owned railway company of Estonia, is having a big fleet of Stadler Flirt trains. Shortly after I recorded this video, some other new trains being made by the Czech train manufacturer Skoda, yes, the same one as that makes the cars, will also be introduced within Estonia. However, for this ride we'll be having one of the Stadler Flirt trains. And if there are trains that will be going to Latvia, that will also be the Stadler Flirt trains. Anyway, at the side of the train you will see displays that will host some route information like the final destination, the train number and the stops along the way. Also how much time before the departure of the train. In general, these trains are the same, although the length of the Stadler Flirt trains can be a little bit different. The train we had for today did exist of 3 carriages. Let me show you the exact train I had on this route, and that's the train you can see over here. The first class has been mentioned crystal clear at the side of the train. This is basically like in most European countries with an extra yellow stripe above the windows. First class seats can be reserved, and the seat numbers will also be mentioned there. Apart from that, at all entrance doors you will find the numbers 1 and 2 indicating the first or the second class. Like already mentioned, screens at the side of the train do host route information and the train number. And facilities like, for example, the bike area and the accessible area have been marked crystal clear at the side of the train. Well, for now I'll just show you the interior of the train. You know, one of the advantages of having an empty train is that I can do a train tour without a voiceover. It saves me some time with editing. Probably I forget some things, but this here is the first class of the Elron trains of Estonia. You might think in a 2x2 configuration, but these trains are really wide. First class isn't really that much pricier compared to second class, so I actually would recommend it. Tiny table you can fold. It's not super big. Seats can be reclined with a handle underneath, and power sockets are located over here. Most seats are facing each other over here with a big table in between, and at the side you find a litter bin. And obviously the power plugs are located over there. If you're traveling in first class, this is possible to make a seat reservation. If you're using a rail pass like Interrail, I honestly don't know how to do that, but if you book your train ticket, this automatically comes including a seat reservation. You can select it from a map. And for this ride, at least the ride until from Tallinn to Valga, it was fully booked. Although I looked during the ride to see if there were spots available, so maybe it can only be booked once during the entire journey, I don't know. Probably I'll do some more research on that. But over here, if you move this, you can see if a seat has been reserved or not. At the moment you enter the train, you find near all the entrances, you find these screens. They will host route information. Also announcements will be made automatically, and announcements for the bigger stations are also in English, and quite a lot of information over here. So actually quite a lot of information is in English. We purchased for myself, I'm traveling with the use of Interrail. My girlfriend is traveling with a normal ticket. I purchased a ticket just online on the Elron website. But you can also buy them over here. What's super convenient. I don't know exactly how this works, but it is with a touchscreen and everything. What's actually really convenient, it works in English and Russian as well. English? Yes, English and Russian. What's perfect, you find big litter bins at the vestibules as well. Paper, some information, I don't know. And here's obviously that this is, well, not obviously, but this is the first class, what has been mentioned as well. But this is more obvious for me as a foreigner. For luggage, you obviously have the overhead luggage racks throughout the train in first and second class. Although I have to say that these luggage racks here are not that great, to be honest. And you might be thinking, this comes in a 3x2 configuration in standard class or second class. But these trains are once again extremely wide because they're on broader Russian gauge tracks. So there's more space at the side. So actually it's not that bad, to be honest. It's actually quite okay. And the leg room, I can't show you. I'm quite a tall boy, but the leg room is really good. It's really generous. In standard class, you find power sockets, by the way, under the table. It's a side. I don't know how this works for the airline style seats, actually. I haven't tried them out. Don't think there are power sockets over here. No, but let me try the leg room. What is actually that's quite okay as well. It's pretty good actually, especially for if you consider that most distances in Estonia are not super long. Priority seats have been mentioned as well. Coat hangers are located at the side. And well, between all seats you find adjustable armrests. These seats in standard or second class are not, you cannot recline them. Here we have some more seats. You find a mix of, well, diesel and electric trains in Estonia. Most trains at this moment are diesel powered, but they're electrifying the railway network big time. So I think they might change this, but these here are the engines, as you can hear. Over here we have some more standard class. This train has 3 carriages. Some more information about the route is going back to Tallinn now. You also find basic screens at the ceiling with information. And I haven't mentioned this, as all entrance doors you find line maps of the Estonian railroad network. Basically everything is leading to Tallinn. Right now we are here in Valga, what is close to the border with Latvia. But Narva, what is here, is quite an important railway station as well when there were still trains to Russia. And also Pusa, if I pronounce it right, what is a very tiny station though, that's located right next to the Russian border, but not on a really big railroad line. Right now I'm standing in the accessible area of this train. Once again, these trains are super wide. It's really bigger than it looks on camera, I think. The accessible area for people traveling in a wheelchair, obviously like this, you can put a wheelchair here. There is also the accessible toilet, what is also the only toilet on board of this train, but because the train is standing still at this moment, I can't go in, and I haven't filmed the toilet during the ride as well, so no, they lock it. If you're traveling with a bike, it seems like you need to reserve a bike spot as well, because of the reservation things over here. But then you have to hang the bike over here. But keep in mind, you need to make a reservation, as far as it seems like. At least I will Google some more for this. It probably pops up on the lower part of the screen. And the accessible area is also the perfect spot for if you're traveling with kids. You can put a buggy here, the bike area. And here's also an emergency button to speak to the driver in just case of emergency. I don't know, in a wheelchair you might need this more often than if you're not traveling in a wheelchair. And then here we have the standard classic. And once again, these luggage racks over here are not that big. I don't think my suitcase will fit in, but over here this is definitely big enough. if we move on to the other side of the train. By the way, the train has carriages as well. I call it sectors basically. This is C, and near the entrance doors you find these maps of bells of A, B and C. And what is interesting is not really, but the reason why is actually simple, because you find some platforms with short platforms, and then you can only enter from this carriage or leave the train from this carriage. Let's continue to the other side of the train, but I haven't shown you everything yet. And this here, well, it's just continuing the standard class again. And here's my girlfriend patiently waiting for me till I finished filming. Yeah, and if you move on, you find the cab car, the cabin, the driver cab, and that's basically it. I mean, these are good trains. They're not super long distance trains, but they're definitely good enough for the job that they need to serve for. Something else I maybe forgot. Oh yeah, over here there's some other general information. How to behave, for example. Yeah, I think that's it. For now, let's continue with this video. When I left Tallinn in the early morning in January, it was still dark. However, with the new timetable, you even have daylight for this section of the route if you're traveling on one of the shortest days of the year. Within the city of Tallinn, the train makes some more stops. One of these stops is at the railway station of Ülemiste, if I pronounced this right at least. Ülemiste will be the northernmost terminal railway station for the Rail Baltica project, and they're building the railway station right over here. Honestly, I would love to see that going to the main railway station of Tallinn. Maybe just one railway line that can be added for these trains as well? I don't know. Anyway, this will be the northernmost terminal station as it is at this moment. One thing that is absolutely great about the Estonian railroad system, and as far as I know, Estonia is the only country in the world that has this. If it's not true, please correct me in the comments. All railway stations and do have barrier-free access. So you can just, if you're in a wheelchair, roll onto the train from the platform. This is rather impressive, and I told this once to someone, and that person was responding like, yeah, but it's a small country with not so many stations. Yes, that's true. However, look at these numbers in a different perspective. The Netherlands, where I'm from, we have a population of a little bit over 18 million with 401 railway stations. And in Estonia, they have a population of around 1.3 million with 120 stations. So per capita, Estonia has about 4 times as much railway stations than the Netherlands, for example. And by having all of them with barrier-free access, I think this is truly amazing. Especially when you take into account that the GDP for Estonia is lower than the GDP for the Netherlands. For now, I'll just stop talking for a bit and show you some views from the train between Tallinn and Valga. I'll get back to you at the railway station of Valga and also show you the train I had between Valga and Riga. Here the train is arriving at the border town of Valga. The town of Valga sees 5 trains per day to Estonia and 2 trains per day to Latvia. There's basically one track that's being used for the Estonian trains and another track for the Latvian trains. Because for one track you have 2 platforms so you can enter the trains both on the left and at the right side. It's easy to change trains here. At the front of the railway station there's obviously a bus stop. Valga is a city that's both in Estonia and in Latvia. The part of Estonia has a population of a bit more than 12,000 people, and in Latvia almost 6,500 people, so the Estonian part is obviously bigger. This is also where you find the station. Information about departing trains to the Estonian side has been given crystal clear on digital screens, but for Latvia you only find this little paper that should be the timetable. And it seemed like this railway station had known way better days. Within this station you will find lockers, so we put our luggage in there and then we wandered around a little bit. Since we had some time to kill, obviously, the train that took us here is heading back to Tallinn again and was waiting at the station. Because we had some time to kill, we just went to the town center. And while I made my way, I also noticed this old steam engine being exhibited close to the railway station. As we made our way to the center, I also noticed this long distance bus by Lux Express. Actually, Lux Express is having really nice buses. It's really strange actually that this city has suddenly been split by a border. It used to be one country, and when the Soviet Union collapsed, it became 2 countries. And this is basically how the Baltic states wanted it themselves. They had a peaceful protest for their own independence. And these 3 countries do really have their own culture. Sometimes it's easy to mix it up as one, well, the Baltic states, but these are really true, totally independent country. And the Estonian language doesn't sound like any of the other languages. When we moved back from the town center where we had lunch at an Asian restaurant that was everything except Asian food, by the way, but was not bad, I saw our train already coming in that will take us to Riga. Before I picked up the luggage, I decided to go up on the stairs here to take some shots from above. The next leg of our journey will be on board of a train operated by Vivi, the state-owned railway company of Latvia. Today we'll be traveling on board of a train type DR1. These trains have been produced within the Soviet time and have been built by the Latvian train builder RVR. The first of these trains came out in 1963. I don't know exactly how old the train is we have on this route, but it's not a new train, that's the least I could say. A couple of days after I shot this, I noticed at the railway station of Riga another train that was much more modern and I liked much more for the same reason. The comfort level on board of the train here on the left, yeah, it's not my favorite train, let's say it like that. It's not bad though. These trains do come in one class only and the engine is located at the front of the train. Or at the back, depending what way the train is moving obviously. Let it be no surprise that barrier-free access for these trains is not really a thing. In Latvia they are ordering lots of new trains, so I honestly don't know how long these trains will still be in use. For now let me show you the interior. For the airline style seats, which you find most, you find a very wobbly tray table in the seat in front of you. As far as I noticed, I couldn't recline these seats in that sense that I couldn't put the backrest a little bit more leaning backwards. But I could adjust the seats and making them a little bit more separate from each other. I tried to put some other seats in the reclining mode as well, but that just didn't work. I have to say the amount of legroom is very reasonable. At the very end of the train, at the back or the front, depending what way the train is moving, there are some spots where you can hang bikes if you're traveling with a bike on board of these trains. You will also find seat numbers in the luggage racks, however you can't make a reservation for these trains. Opposite from the bike area I noticed the staff area, what comes in the same seat as for the rest of the train. Information about the network and well, more general information is located at the end of the open compartments. The seats, they seem to come out just from an old touring car bus. And not even a super comfortable one. To be honest, these are just not my favorite trains. But once again, I also noticed other trains on the same route and I'll show you them all in a bit. And I honestly don't know for how long they will still use these trains. My girlfriend was patiently waiting for me when I was filming the train. And as you can see, for our luggage, a big suitcase and a big backpack, we have more than enough space. If we move on to the middle carriage, that comes basically in the same layout as what I showed you earlier on. You find in a 2x2 configuration mainly airline style seats and the same type of seats. Within the carriage, where you will also find the engine, you will also find the accessible area. Although accessible, these trains do not offer barrier-free access at all, and also there's no accessible toilet, but there is some kind of accessible area on board of these trains. I think if you're traveling in a wheelchair, you just need to ask for assistance. Now let's head on to the toilet. I mean, no train tour is complete without showing you the toilets. And the toilet is really old school. You dump everything straight at the track. Well, at least you can fertilize the ground below the train this way. And the train is also a little bit lighter. Like I already mentioned, at the railway station of Riga I also noticed this train, and this train was making exactly the same route on the same times as the train that I had from Valga to Riga. It looks slightly different and a bit more modern from outside, but I was a bit curious about this as well. And this is a totally different travel experience. This train looks much more modern. There are screens that will host digital route information. The seats do look way nicer. As a matter of fact, I tried the seats out and the comfort level is way better, although this tray table is leaning on my legs, but this is probably because I'm a big boy in general. There's a small magazine rack and a footrest, what I personally actually never use anyway. I mean, these are basically the same train types, but then a bit more modern, but it's just such a different experience. These trains do not have barrier-free access either. However, you do find these elevators that can lift people in a wheelchair up from the platform into the train. What is also a huge improvement. This here is the accessible area, including a big accessible toilet that was occupied when I wanted to film here. Shortly after I walked away, someone came out so I could film in the toilet. And this is the toilet. Also a totally different experience than the toilet in the previous train. And if you're traveling with a little baby and you need to swap the diapers, you can do that as well within these toilets. It's, well, once again, such a totally different experience on board of these trains. Despite that, I'm also happy that I made a journey on board of the older train. As we were leaving Valga, it got dark already, so I don't show you that many views from the train. However, I will show you some views from the train and tell you something about the tickets and also how I booked my ticket and where I think we have some challenges and also opportunities when it comes to ticket fares. And I see some really good things happening. In general, this will be improved relatively on the short term already, and I think this video won't be up to date relatively fast. For this, let's take a closer look on the map. And the map exists of 3 sections. The first leg of the journey was from Tallinn to Valga. I purchased this ticket via the website of Elron, the state-owned railway company of Estonia. These tickets can be purchased 2 weeks prior departure. If you're traveling in first class, I advise you to book this as soon as possible because this comes including a reservation and there's not a high capacity on board of first class. For standard class, there's less urgent to book this much more in advance. However, I really advise you to book this also in advance online, simply because based on the demand of sold train tickets, there will be decided what type of train will be used for what specific route as far as I understood. So if it's gonna be busy and they have a lot of tickets being sold in advance, they might add a longer train for a specific route. What's also better for the whole travel experience. And as I mentioned already in the video, Elron also wants to run their own trains into Riga. I don't know exactly how this is going to work with an integrated ticket system. Maybe for that specific train you can also buy the tickets on the Elron website. And for the other trains not. I don't really know how this is going to be. But at this very moment when I made this journey, I bought the first tickets via Elron, what is from Tallinn to Valga. Then the second ticket on board of the Vivi train from Valga to Riga. I purchased that ticket via the state-owned railway company of Latvia, what is Vivi. The tickets of Vivi can only be purchased 1 week prior departure, so it's a really short booking term. It's also possible to buy these tickets within the train, then you pay €1 extra. And now the most important part, Riga Vilnius. For that route there won't be sold more tickets as there are seats available and a seat reservation is obligated. Keep this in mind, there are only 150 seats on that specific train. Those tickets can be purchased 30 days prior departure. And in terms of capacity, I heard that there will be lots of new trains coming to Lithuania as well, so there might be a higher capacity on the Riga-Vilnius routes, maybe in the not too far away future as well. Hopefully this will improve this much more. Especially on busy days, those trains do book out. Keep this in mind. Tallinn Riga will probably also get more popular with this new timetable that I didn't have yet. However, for those trains, there is another possibility that these trains will be totally booked out. They might be busy though, but they will not be fully booked. I would love to see more integrated ticket systems. And this is not only within these 3 countries, but this is in general a challenge we have within Europe, to be honest. There's just so much to improve. And I think if these 3 countries could prove they can integrate their ticket system, what's not extremely difficult because there's not a lot of flexibility when it comes to pricing, I think this can be a great example for the rest of Europe. Later on during this trip, we also took a Eurocity train from Warsaw in Poland to Budapest in Hungary. For that train you do find flexible ticket prices and it's crossing 2 other countries as well. So you basically have flexible prices and 4 different countries where you can book those tickets. You can get really creative when it comes to this. However, if these 3 countries will be able to link all their booking system with each other, so not only for the international lines, but also if I want to go from a small town in Estonia to a small town in Latvia or anywhere else in the Baltics, that I can book it in one go, that will be absolutely great. But honestly, we're not there yet. Just look at the different booking terms. I think this is the first problem we have when it comes to this. This is already a challenge, for example, with German tickets. Germany has so many neighboring countries. To some neighboring countries I can book the tickets really a lot in advance, and to some other neighboring countries only 1 or 2 months prior departure. By setting a time frame of about 1 month, you know at least what to expect, and I think this is also good. If you book these tickets in these countries, you know it's pretty reliable that these will be the time that the train will go. And if there are construction works, this will be mentioned. I noticed this as well when I was looking for other routes and other dates. The timetable and the map I showed you earlier on is coming from the website of the Estonian state-owned railway company Elron. On their website I also noticed this over here, and this is an overview for the ticket prices if you're traveling along this route between Estonia via Latvia to Lithuania. At least they give quite a lot of information. I can't buy tickets in the other countries via them yet, at least I think so, but the information is there and I feel like they really want to improve this much more. And purely based on what I feel and what I hear, I feel there's not a lot of cooperation when it comes to this entire international railway connection from Latvia. Maybe this is totally not true and probably I will hear this in the comments. But when it comes, for example, for allowing the Estonian train within Latvia, this is not going very smooth, and also for the Lithuanian train within Latvia there were quite some challenges. And with this whole new Rail Baltica project that should be launched in 2030, what I honestly don't think is going to happen at that time, the travel time is going to be way shorter. Actually, I'm talking way too much. This might be one of my longest videos already, so I'm really gonna stop talking now. I just hope that you understand that I'm really passionate about making train traveling easier, and especially when it comes to international traveling. This is why I have this channel, to share my passion for traveling, trains and sustainability. That's it on board of this train from Tallinn via Valga to Riga here in Latvia. From here on there will be another train that will be taken to Vilnius in Latvian, and this will be on a direct train. Of course there will be a trip course on that as well. For now, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it or this has been helpful to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. If you have some questions, feedback, comments, let me know in the comment section. And if you like to see more travel reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus of this channel is cross-bordering and or international traveling, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. Before we really end up this video, one last thing. Well, if you made it all the way to this point and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you really might consider to subscribe. My goodness, this video takes long. Anyway, if you're interested in other videos, you can find them on this channel, and you also find a link to a map in the description of this video where you can find everything as well, but then on a map. See you on the next video.